The Psychopath, no subtitles this time. So today we'll be kicking off the weekly streaming sessions with To End All Wars, a strategy game by Ajot, and Pocus from Ajot should be here in the chat as well. If he could make himself visible here, you can fire any questions you might have in his direction. Of course, we can also try and back up for him, but nothing is as cool as hearing your answers directly from the horse's mouth, from the developer directly. So today we are presenting with you not just To End All Wars, which was released at last year, but we are presenting you a little sneak peek of the game. Here you can see it breaking the deadlock. This is a upcoming expansion, and this will be the first time that we will show it and talk about it. So this is a first time for us that we disclose something on the Twitch, and a first time for you or for the public that this is visible. So what is, first of all, for those of you who are unfamiliar, what is To End All Wars? It is a great grand strategy game set during World War I. You can play as the Eastern Entente, the Western Entente, or the Central Powers, and it uses the proven Ajot combat engine, which takes into account command lines, supply lines, quality of troops, generals, etc. It's a very detailed simulation of World War I warfare on a huge scale. So what does this breaking the deadlock bring then? Well, when To End All Wars released, we had two major groups of feedback. One saying, I want to start later in the game, not just starting from 1914 every time. And to do that, we have made a 1916 campaign available, which is the Grand Campaign from 1916. I should point out that everything you see here is still pre-release. So there could very well be some bugs, some glitches, etc. We're still working this out. Again, this is the first time we show it in public, so please bear with us on that. And the other major point of feedback was that people wanted more smaller scenarios, or at least not so much smaller in time frame perhaps, but smaller from a geographical perspective, not fighting the entire war in one go. Now, we've also answered to this with the Breaking the Deadlock expansion, and we have added several smaller scenarios, a couple very short ones on the Western Front specifically, the Eastern Front specifically. So it's like they're less than 12 turns each, and as well as the Italian Front in 1917, which I can tell from experience is an extremely action-packed scenario. And all these scenarios you can play, of course, from both sides. A question from Ostwind Fleck about the AI. How is it scripted to know what the player is doing? The AI is actually not fully aware of what you choose, obviously, although they will make choices depending on your on what you do and trying to react to that and try to counter that. Of course, this is done to provide you as much of a challenge as possible while playing the AI. So we have the Italian Front in a small scenario as well, but we also have some other scenarios, and we look at the campaign scenarios for that one, the tab where we just were, and we can see that we have, aside from the 1916 campaign, we have the conquest of Serbia, which is focused on the conquest of Serbia between 1915 October and March 1916. We have the Romanian Front, which we'll be showcasing in a minute, from 1916 and 1917 March, and even the Palestinian, or the war in Palestine. So we have the British taking it up with the Ottomans in the Middle East. So that's all brings some fresh choices to the scenario selection, and gives you the opportunity to play some shorter scenarios or some relatively smaller scenarios. So today we're going to show you one of them, which is the Romanian Front. So it looks at the situation on the Balkans between August, or the end of August 1916 and early March 1917. We're going to play as the Central Powers, and we're going to jump in. Right, so here we are. This scenario covers the entry of Romania into the war on the Allied side in the summer of 1916 and its subsequent conquest by the Central Powers and counteroffensive till the end of 1917. So let us first zoom out a bit and load the map graphics here. And we can see now we're here on the Balkans and focused on Romania, and we have Bulgaria to the south. We have, of course, Russia to the north. Let's just open the military control view so it becomes a bit more clear. And we have the Austro-Hungarian Empire here. So we're playing as the Central Powers, that being the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Germans, which, although geographically are remote from here, sent some reinforcements. We have play as the Bulgarians as soon as the war starts on that front, as well as some of the Ottoman expeditionary troops. And we're fighting here against the Russian Empire, of course, the Romanian Empire, which decided, or Romanian country, which decided to join the Allies later in the war. And to the south, though, we have some French and British expeditionary forces trying the after the Thessaloniki operation, which wasn't very successful. So in theory, we shouldn't have to fear so much from that, but they are definitely present there. So this is again a somewhat shorter scenario. We can check the scores and objectives screen, and we're getting 9 victory points per turn at the moment, whereas they get only 2. So they're under offensive, just like it was historically. Romania joined the war, even though they originally even had a defensive treaty with the Central Powers signed in 1893. But in the end, they decided to join the Allies anyway, the Allied forces, after having received substantial promises of substantial aid, which of course was hard to deliver on in times of war. So the Romanians hoped they could reclaim lots of the territory, or at least territory where ethnic Romanians were living, and they go on the offensive. So first job for us is with our Austro-Hungarian troops we have here, is to counter the enemy offensive, wait for reinforcements, strike back, and knock them out of the war. So we have, let's have a look at our armies here. We have our High Command under Hutzendorf, which is the leader of all the army troops here. And under him we have 2 main armies, that being the 7th Army, which is currently locked in position to guard this front. And we have the 1st Army, which contains several corpses in support. And so this is the only army guarding the front, actually, which is not a whole lot. And I can see now that in our chat, Pokus has made his appearance. Welcome, Pokus. Glad you could make it. It's good to see you here. And again, you can fire all your questions in his direction, and he will try and answer them to the best of his abilities. Now, so we're going to try and hold the enemy off. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to strengthen our front lines, because when we click on the objective or strategic towns map, we can see that 2 of these border regions are considered objectives already, being Hermannstadt and Kronstadt. So we're going to try and defend and fortify them. Oh, let's get back to this one. So we're going to move our 1st Army to the region south, and we're going to decide to move our 3rd Army also south. To those of you who are again unfamiliar with the game, everything is done with drag and dropping in this game. So you select an army and you can just drag and drop where you want it to walk. It's an extremely convenient system, to be honest. Once you get the hang of it, you hardly want to go back. So we set our first moves. If I'm correct, we don't have any like political or military options here. So this is also a good way, starting these smaller scenarios, to learn the game, to focus at one thing at a time. So having done our initial options and read our initial briefing, we're gonna go and press the end turn and kick off this game. So right now the AI is creating its path, is generating its moves, and in a second we will see it move out and play out day by day. So we have the first battle taking place, we're coming with an Austrian defeat in the Battle of Hermannstadt, so the southern one, and we're going to look back at it in a second as soon as the turn is played out. Some of you might have noticed that these smaller scenarios have 7-day turns, so each turn consists 7 days and is then generated by 2 bases, whereas the ground campaigns have, of course, the 14-day turns. So here we have our message log, and we can like filter the messages by whatever we want, and they inform us of everything that has happened. So, for example, we have planes flying missions, recon missions to charter the enemy positions. We have messages of combat, of armies being engaged, and of course here our lost battle in the Battle of Hermannstadt. So we lost our battle. We lost 10,000 troops already in the first battle, whereas the enemy, or over 10,000, whereas the enemy lost a little over 6,000, which is not at all a good trade for us. And they've broken through, and they're actually sieging the town of Hermannstadt, whereas the Second Army Corps is trying to retreat to back to Alba Iulia. So we ordered our Second Army Corps to come into support, but it's a bit too late now, and being afraid that I'm going to lose 2 battles in a row, I'm going to just hold it and try and regroup first. And we have Philippe Thibault also available here, another AJOT developer. So the 2 leading minds of AJOT are here tonight. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. So we've lost 1 battle already, 1 significant defeat, but there were some interesting events. Of course, all these events are based on what happened historically, which this game is great to simulate. For example, we have the formation of the Donau Armee, or the Danube Army, and it is under command of the German general Mackensen, and he takes command of a new army of the Danube, or the Donau Army, which forces from most Central Powers, as well as Bulgars and Turks. So this is a mixed troop which has been formed here in Belgrade, and we have the Donau Army with German Corps, we have a reserve corps, and we even have, as we select here and here, some Bulgarian army and a 6 Turkish corps. So we got some reinforcements already, although they're not in position to strengthen the lines here. Rather, they're in a position to come to the aid of the Bulgarians and attack from that side. So there's one of the interesting things about this scenario is there's not one front line, but the Bulgarians are fighting a war. Of course, the Russians are coming in as well, and so a lot of happening on different fronts and on different sides, and you have to manage that as a player, regardless of what side you play on, really. So here we've been kicked back. We're trying to recover, to replace. These guys, I still want them to fortify this region, to Kronstadt, to keep that safe. And here we're going to move our troops south into Bulgaria. As you can see, it's quite a march, but that's what trains are for, I suppose. So we're going to send our army to Sofia, the Bulgarian capital. And as you can see, it takes 36 days by road to go there, whereas if we go to the orders, movement orders tab, and select move by rail, we can shorten the time to 7 days only. So they should be there within 1 turn if everything goes well. Of course, you cannot be completely certain of that. So there might be some delays there, but still for now, 7 days is a much better prediction than 36. Exactly, Pocus. We have a whole lot of real points, so we can move in a lot of units very quickly and set them up in good positions. I'm going to move the Ottoman Corps all the way to Varna and try and have them push north for Constanza for the Romanian port. Again, we're going to let them move by rail to shorten the distance. 16 days. I mean, it's still a lot, but it's definitely doable. And we're gonna set our Bulgar army to probably, I'd say, Pleven fortress, or perhaps to at the very border. Let's do that. Again, this is gonna take a long time, but I press the real button and it shortens it to 13 days. Then we got our reserve corps, which of course we're gonna keep somewhat in reserve, or at least at a nice position. Still 8 days, very good. And we have our plane, which is locked at the moment. Okay. So all these units of this Danube army that we just received, we're going to move that south into Bulgaria into different positions and try and strike from the south. Okay. Yes, when you have a corps not adjacent to an army, they more or less get slaughtered. Well, yes, they're definitely a lot weaker than they usually are, Igor. That's very well noticed. Although in this case, I'm hoping that the Romanians make the same mistake as they did historically and are ill-prepared for an attack from the south because they're expecting Allied reinforcements to guard that front. Of course, whether or not it plays out as well as I hope, we're going to see that later. And a second Austrian defeat. Oh gosh, again the same town. We lost 16,000 more men. We got completely slaughtered, actually. Gosh. Extremely unfortunate. And we can see the sprites of the airplanes doing their missions, whether it is recon or something else. So Seri just came in. What? There's an expansion coming up. Indeed, there is an expansion coming up. This is one of the smaller scenarios coming with breaking the Deadlock expansion, and this is the very first time we show it. So we hope you enjoy it, you like it, and we really try to have some more diversity in the scenarios and have some smaller scenarios for those who wanted that. So now we're completely kicked out of the region of Hermannstadt. We actually lost the town already to the enemies, although in the surrounding regions we still have some theoretical military control. Our armies are weakened severely. We send them on defensive. And we're gonna have to see what they do next, because a counterattack at the moment would result in another slaughter on my side, probably. Also, we see the enemy 4th Army moving in from this side, which I don't quite like. We got some Russian troops here, which I don't quite like. And overall, the enemy seems to be quite strong and prepared. So another battle lost. The Eastern Entente captured Hermannstadt in the region of Sibiu, and they captured my depot there as well. We have some recon missions being flown, which is cool. Troops are entrenched, which is always nice for our army. Right. So basically we got pretty much slaughtered. And let's see what we have to do now. We'll probably have to wait until these units get into position and put some pressure here. So at least some pressure of the Austro-Hungarian front will be hopefully be removed. So let's see. Let's just stay put for this. Let's try and reorganize and end our turn. So again, we have the troops moving. We see the Romanians are actually trying to go on the offensive on this area as well, and I do not like that one bit. But there is also good news, as historically happened. Germany foresaw actually the Romanian entry in the war and prepared a plan in advance, and that plan is coming together now under General von Falkenhayn. Former Commander-in-Chief of the West is now appointed head of the 9th Army, which has just been formed, and which's goal is to repulse the Romanians from Transylvania. So we have now here as reinforcements our 9th Army under Erich von Falkenhayn, who is a quite capable commander. Actually, it could be worse. And he has a nice army with him we can use to hopefully perhaps position them here, mounting counter-offensive together with these guys to reclaim the region of Hermannstadt and realign the front line. So we're going to move him south. With all his corpses. Let's see, can we remove the planes with it as well? Let's leave them for now. It's going to take some days, so let's see, we have still a lot of railroad capacity, so honestly I don't see much reason in not spending this and order them to go by rail to really speed this up. I don't want to get too entrenched and too strong in this area. So here our Bulgar army has arrived. The enemy town doesn't seem to be well, there is a garrison in this town, a weak one, but there's no army present, so we're going to just try and move up. Reserves are locked in this region for now to guard the border. At the same time, we have our reserve corps here, which I'm not too sure what to do with yet, to be honest. Of course, our Danube army command has also arrived, and I'm inclined to move them forward to the front to let them let it better support the other troops. So whether I send them north to push for Costanza might be an option. The other one being sending them north here and try to push for the capital directly and really split the enemy line, cutting off this entire. Well, in theory, it sounds pretty good, to be honest, but I don't know if I'm ready to pull it off. So let's just set it with the Ottomans. We're gonna move it by rail, and it shouldn't take too long. We got some recon missions. No air, not really air battles yet. I mean, of course, planes weren't as many. Weren't as many planes available as there were on the Western Front, for example. We have much higher troop density as well, and relatively more modern armies. So move that here. This guy still hasn't been attacked. Looks to be pretty tough. And with these guys coming in, I hope we can push them back, re-establish the front line, put pressure from the south, and break the Romanians. So there we go again. What are they up to? They moved up a force to intercept. Ensues a battle which resulted in a stalemate. It's a pretty bloody battle, actually. When we look at the casualty numbers, they're more or less close to equal. We suffered slightly more, although for an attacking party, I suppose it could have been worse. But a stalemate, meaning that we maintain our position in the region. So we're not yet completely pushed out, although I think they seem to have many more reinforcements in the area. So there's a good chance it will push me out rather quickly. That doesn't matter too much for me though, because I'm gonna order my troops to move north, even though it will take quite some time. And we're gonna have you move north as well. Hopefully lay siege to this and grab some victory points from that. So our units have arrived all here, all by train, so that went pretty quickly. So we're gonna move south now. I'm gonna send our armies here. So our courses. Wait, do we want to send him? Considering he's not active. It's a shame that our leader is not active this turn, but oh well. Time is of the essence, I suppose. It's okay to be a bit reckless every now and then. So we're going to move our armies in that region, try and push them out. Of course, this could end up in huge disaster, but yes, some of my troops indeed have a lower cohesion. But, well, to be honest, I'm not really sure if I always fear like playing against one of these guys that the longer you wait, the more reinforcements they get pushed in by the enemy. So these troops all seem fresh, and we're gonna just hit and turn and pray. You suppose well, Kenzai. Philippe Thibault is the embodiment of Asia here on the forums. So here we have a major battle going on and our assault. We can choose our battle plan here, and not all of our forces have arrived yet. So we are gonna select a balanced, just playing it safe here, balanced shot. If you are really unsure like what to do here and what to do in these situations, there's always the question mark, which let the AI choose for you, and then it chooses the basically the same it uses the same algorithm as the enemy AI chooses, so that's pretty convenient. So might as well go with this one at this point, saying we're not going to win the initial battle. If we stay on the defensive, we're going to inflict as many casualties on the enemy as possible. See what goes from there. So the battle ensues and our first assault gets repulsed. Although not without causing significant casualties toward the enemy army. So that's definitely a plus. Again, if you play this by yourself or get the game later on, you can really look into all these little events, seeing what happened and how this entire calculation came to be. Stuff like morale, stuff like proficiency of the troops, stuff like frontage, terrain, weather, all of this comes of course into effect. And there's quite a lot to it, as well as the general skills and abilities, and of course that tiny bit of luck, because you never really fully control everything. So while we did not kick the enemy out yet, we have secured a foothold there with 2 corpses, and more are underway, coming in soon. So that's definitely a plus. Fortunately, the 2nd Army Corps ignored my orders and decided not to move. Let's see if we have any major um, events coming in. See, additional trans network set up. Yes, so that's one of course within the World War I game, entrenchment and stuff like that is extremely important. Uh, so, well, of course you don't want to set all your units to give them entrenchment orders. You want them, if they stay in a region, automatically to entrench, which is exactly what they do. So the longer they stay in a region, and the better they will be able to entrench themselves and get some of that defensive bonus going. Which you can see, for example, by the icon indicated here, that this unit has been here for a longer time, is entrenched, and these here are not. It also, the stance that they're in matters very much for this. If you see a unit in an offensive stance, they won't be as entrenched as units in the defensive stance. So additional trans networks, and we suffer 3 hits, so we get kicked out here. We're trying to reclaim here, but here they're still besieging our forces in Kronstadt. So our garrisons are still holding out to some degree. These guys are recovering. So I'm going to set them again into a defensive stance, and we're going to see when we're going to use them again. They probably need help from the 9th Army as well then. Okay, and here then, let's see, we are still at this location, although this unit is low on cohesion. So that's not quite ideal, so I'm not really able to move it any further, plus it's still besieging this town. I ordered my units here to move up north, although it's going to be a long, relatively long road. Moving through difficult terrain with huge armies is of course not the easiest of solutions. We have some guys plotted defense. Do we engage them? We're gonna leave them for now. I don't think there's much use. Let's just move them north. See if they can assist the Bulgarian army. Of course, we have tons of railroad capacity indicated here, so we can set the move by rail mode. If I am too not loud enough, I could try and speak harder, but I really pushed up all the volume on my end for the microphone. Right, okay, so I'm going to try and speak a bit louder here, just for the guys experiencing some issues. So if you don't want to hear me louder or don't want to hear me at all, which is of course fairly legitimate as well, just turn me off. So I'm going to try and speak louder then. So we're going to move, our armies are still on their way north to Costanza, and supported by our Danube Army Command. We are moving in troops from the south of Bulgaria north to the front line, and here we are trying to recapture one of our victory locations, after which we're going to turn back and try and recapture or relieve the siege of Kronstadt fortress. So having done that and having been through all the major events, we have we actually have some planes we can move in closer as well. Gonna take some time. Can we reel them? Yes, we can. Planes can, if I remember correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, one of the Asian guys, planes can do up to missions up to like 5 regions away, depending on the type of plane. So they do recon missions, they support combat, etc. all automatically. So they're quite convenient for that. They're definitely, if you can use them, you probably should, especially for recon missions. They're very convenient. For example, you play the Italian scenario of 1917, which also comes with this Breaking the Deadlock expansion. You already have a lot of airplanes or dogfighting going on above the skies, with planes automatically moving out to recon and support your enemy or your troops on the ground. So they made a breach in the Festung of Kronstadt is the first message already, and I don't quite like that at all. Up to 3 regions away for plane missions. Okay, thank you, Pogus, for correcting that. And so we have flown several recon missions, and we have, let's see here, we have entrenched ourselves more as well. Not a lot of battles going on. Unfortunately, our 9th Army is still very much delayed, although we have 3 guys in the area now already. We still have a 27% military control of the region. Our 2nd Army Corps hasn't still arrived either. I really want to get on the offensive as quickly as possible, but my generals refuse to give my orders due to their inactivity, and perhaps due to the insanity of some of my commands. Perhaps they have more common sense than I have. So here we are still moving. We can see some enemy cavalry, Russian cavalry here. So there are Russian forces definitely somewhere out here trying to support Romania when it is needed. So again, we just have to wait for these guys to come into location and start the counterattack. Yes, of course. It also depends on the range of the plane mission. Also depends on the historical range of the planes used, of the technology at the time. Which, of course, also during the greater campaigns that you play, when you play, for example, from 1940 until the end of the war, these technologies change, and so do the quality of the airplanes. So the siege is still not successful, but there is really a significant enemy force. We have the 14th Army with a projected power, which is like an abstract idea of how strong an army stack is, of over 600, so which is a lot stronger than my stack here, at least on first sight. Of course, we got multiple stacks, but even together they don't reach the number. And so more movement has coming in. We're all here now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set them all to the offensive posture. And by doing that, they will seek out to expand the territory control over the region. Oh, come on. It's deactivated, of course. Forgive me for that. So perhaps we should wait one turn then. Yes, we should definitely. And when you send them to offensive postures, they will try and increase their military control of the region, so they will seek out enemy positions if they are defending those regions. So it's a great way to initiate an assault. So it's very unfortunate that so many of these are inactive these turns. I'm not quite happy with that. And what do we have here? We have the Kögruppen and some cavalry. And is there a... Yes, there's the event for the Kögruppe. General von Kö von Schmetto, pardon my German please, create a special battle group equivalent to an army group to support Falkenhayn's efforts in Transylvania and to counter the attack into Romania. So we got some much needed reinforcements to really give some extra power here to push them back, which is very nice. So we are gonna reel them into the area. As well as the cavalry corps, because why not? Let's get as much force there and kick them out hard. So here we have some coastal division. Let's just try and engage them and see if we can get a foothold on their mainland. Here we are still besieging the town. Cohesion is still low, so not really looking forward to a fight. but they're probably too weak to engage me, although I do not have enough intel to really say that. I'm going to send the defense further north and try and merge them. So here they've taken military control of the region, though not yet the city, so they're still waiting for that. Kenzai is trying to point out very subtly that I'm not doing as well as the central generals in real life, but yes, exactly, that's what happened. There are indeed replacements available in these scenarios. Recruitment is turned off as far as I know. The enemy is assaulting the Festung Kronstadt. They made some breaches before, or at least one breach, I recall. So they stormed in now and they killed or imprisoned everyone in there. So they've effectively taken control of the fortress, which I'm not too happy about. Yeah, of course, I mean, historically the Romanians did start off with an assault. And did start by taking some regions. And another defeat on our side, so they engaged our already weakened army with an offensive stance and kicked us out with a much stronger force even, so no clue where that came from. Not too happy that it's there, so we're gonna just retreat it to our region and try and recover as quickly as possible and just keep on the defensive. This might be an issue though. Let's see, we are moving close to the city, but supplies are running low. Here we have a supply cart, for example, and which is already empty, so we could try and cut it loose and send it back for some resupply, I suppose, but which is a very weird path, so I don't want that obviously. So I wanted to move south, recover its supplies in the town. That's one of the cool things, like Philippe Thibault or Ajot here on the chat mentioned, is you really have to make do with the troops that you have in these smaller scenarios. So you feel much more like a general, which is command locally, rather than of an entire war. It also means that through events, sometimes you get reinforcements, sometimes new fronts open up, etc. You don't really have the full control, and you really have to adjust to every new situation. So having moved these units up, we're going to press the end turn button again. So we're already in end of October now, 1916. And we have arrived at the city of Constanza, although with some issues. But we started the siege, at least, so that's something, I suppose. And Sir Donia army rapidly improved their entrenchments. Well, I don't quite care because they're on the move. We have transpositions built here. Okay, not too interesting. Nothing interesting really happened, although we got all our troops moved in here. And so we're going to try and set as much of them as possible in the offensive stance, and try and just get the fight going. The Alpine Corps is also active, very good. Is the Cavalry Corps active? No, it's not. So we're going to try and seek out the battle here. Yes, very good point, Philippe. When we reach later in the year, the weather's getting worse, slowing down all operation, causing wear and tear on your units. lowering organization further on the move and stuff like that. This is all these things you have to take into account to play this as efficiently as possible. So now we're going to try and launch our main assault here, so hopefully that will work out, and we get a major victory at some point. That would be sweet. And there it goes. We're to plan our battle. So our estimated power is of course much higher than that of the enemy. We have much more troops locally in the region, and we are the attacker in this case. We're going to go for a strong center, and we're just going to mass fire them out of there, and hopefully that would chase them out quickly enough. And indeed, the German victory at the Battle of Hermannstadt 1916 in the first week of November. We have suffered some casualties, although they're not nearly as high as that of the enemy. So overall, this is definitely the major victory I was hoping, or major, in my case it's major, I was hoping for. So now we're here back in control of the town, and what we're going to do now is we're going to move the 9th Army out again, with some of the corpses it came with. So the 9th Army is going to move here. Let's just move it here immediately, and we're going to, oh, I don't want it to target that. And we're going to move it by rail, of course, because again we have tons of rail capacity. And we're going to use it to push down in this region and liberate, of course, this objective as well. So we're going to send this one, the 2nd Army Corps. No, we're going to set the group as well. Why not? No, not here. If you want to cancel an order, of course, just move it in the DSM region. It will automatically cancel. Move it here, move it by train. We have the 16th Corps. Gonna move that as well. And we're getting ready for another attack. And we have the 3rd Corps. We're gonna move the reserve army here to set up defenses, or to strengthen the defenses that we already have there, and try and hold the area, and hopefully they won't come with a swift counterattack. Someone asked here, is there a list of scenarios available? It's already being typed out there. It's the Serbia 1915, we have Romania 1916, which we're playing now. We have Caporetto, which is northern Italy, 1917, really action-packed. Very small region, lots of huge armies going on there. And we have Palestine as well. And of course the Grand Campaign starting in 1916, so a middle start for the Grand Campaign, which also a lot of people ask for, where you're really trying to break the deadlock. That's the title, of course, of the expansion. So we have won this region, we're going to move up to the next one and try to kick them out there as well. But of course our Turkish army is out of supply. I'm not really happy with that. And here we are, and we are besieging Constanza but received nothing, and we are suffering hits due to lack of supplies. And this is really not cool. You have filled up again, so you're going to bring some supplies, but it won't ever be enough. So perhaps I should not have moved my Danube Army Command with it here as well. We're going to have to micromanage some cards here to get some supplies. No. Ah, yes. Thanks. Is true. Any idea for future scenarios pack? Like Philippe said, we'd like to do like a lot of them. There's so many ideas, so many cool scenarios that would be possible. Although, of course, it all depends on how well these things do and how interested you would be in seeing these. So now we're going to move these all these stacks south and try and launch the attack. We got some really strong groups, and are supported by some Flieger commandos as well. Seems I actually mixed some troops Falcon's command with another. It was a misclick, but we might as well roll with it, although the command penalty, well, it's still limited. Some what-if scenarios would be very interesting as well, Kenzai. You could do some very cool things with that. One of the what-if scenarios I liked really much in Revolution Under Siege was the Drang nach Osten. So these things, yeah, we'd love to do these things, but again, it all depends on the reception here, on how well these do, and how much people want some of the other games. So Turkish armies are really undersupplied here, so pushing north directly was not a very good idea before securing the surrounding regions, probably. So we're gonna just pray there for the best, or at the very least hope they will divert enough enemy troops to the region to enable us to go on the offensive in the north. So you guys are pretty much getting back up. You're fully supplied, well organized, just missing some troops. We're taking some control slowly here, although it's not really doing anything. Let's see, I move him west to the town. So here we're gonna start our assault, or at least in a couple of turns. And our units here have become active now as well. So that's a nice bonus. And let's see. If we have use for them, if we want to go on the offensive here, is there anything to win? It doesn't seem like the enemy is doing a lot on this area, so I'm actually inclined to remove at least part of the group somewhere else. For example, here the 6th Army Corps. Yes, Kenzai. Although, to be honest, I have trouble with most of the games we play here. Whether it's dropping paratroopers to their imminent death in War in the West, or sending some Romans to their death in Elayak to Est. I think I would make a great general in World War I, let me put it that way. So we fight immediately a battle, and initially it looked like we were losing, but more reinforcements came in. We lost about the same amount of men, but we managed to push the enemy back, thereby winning the Battle of Festung Kronstadt, and our troops are pouring into the region. And we're still besieging. Should we? We're suffering more and more casualties here. We'll probably have to pull out at some point. What is the power on 75? We're not making any breaches either, which is even worse than I'd hoped for. I'd hoped for at least some breach or some combat going on. Um, so I'm inclined to pull out for now, actually, because we made some good progress here anyway. Yeah, if you want to see the weather filter, of course, we can check this out. Um, we have some clear weather here. We have muddy weather. And of course here we have snow. Harsh weather is of course the most difficult to operate in, to fight in. Um, this is just one of the many map filters, by the way, that are there. I usually play in the military um, control map mode, but to really appreciate the detail and the art really of the map graphics itself is to turn off all the map filters and just look at the stuff. There's also the one I showed case earlier showing the objective towns and strategic towns, regions and legiancies, so theaters of operation, in which case we're at the Balkan theater, and of course the simplified terrain map mode, which allows you to see at a glance what type of terrain you're operating in. And there's the supply, which I should have looked at a lot earlier. So going back to military, because that's definitely for me the easiest one. And we're going to see if we can exploit our position here. And take the city of Kronstadt back. Having done that, we're quite happy for this turn. Well, thank you, Nico, for pointing that out to me, that I'm supposed to take the Romanian capital by this turn to be on par with the what actually happened historically. In fact, I am doing much worse. Again, like I said before, I would make a great one general. I'm holding the stalemate rather than breaking it. So here we try and go on the offensive with anyone who's... No one's active. Wow, that's unfortunate. So not going on the offensive for me then this time. So let's rail in some of the reinforcements. The 6th Army Corps is not doing anything there. We're gonna reel that one in. And we're gonna I want to at least try and get this region for now, and hopefully in the next playthrough I will do it better. We made a breach in the Festing of Kronstadt, so that's good. So in theory we should be able to like assault it at some point, but again, no one's active, so we cannot go on the offensive here. We have severe supply lacks. So our regions, this was, I think, the worst possible operations I've ordered in the history of Asia games for me. It's really cool. I mean, this is it's not the easiest game, definitely, but it's really cool to read some of the after action reports of the other guys on the forums. They're really into the games, they're really in depth, they take into account everything, and they really maximize the efficiency of their armies so well. So it's a great place to go, like to go through the Agent forums if you're interested or you want to learn how to actually play the game rather than watching me do it. So here we have the assault on December, and we're Battle of Hermannstadt, and we have an Austrian victory here, dealing significant damage to, or significant casualties to the enemy while suffering relatively little. And we take full command. And basically, what that means is that we're almost back to where we started. So these guys are all out of strength and out of power. The enemy is moving in, which I'm not too happy with at all. I set my Bulgarian army south to cover that. I'm gonna send you back as well. There's no point in you staying there and just getting damage and wear and tear. So now what I want to do is I want to, again, no one's active or hardly anyone. The enemy is here as well. I don't like that one bit. I'm gonna seek out the enemy, kick them out again as quickly as possible. All these scenarios, of course, come with a significant amount of historical events, like for me having the reinforcements of the Danube army, having the formation of the army group. In some cases, for example, in the Caporetto scenario in northern Italy, it would be the Allied reinforcements coming in, French and British troops strengthening the line. We have another turn without combat here, as the enemy quickly left our town. And here I think the time is there to go on the offensive, especially considering the relatively low supplies we're getting. So we gotta win a victory pretty quickly. Hopefully these guys will be in time for reinforcements. And here again, not a single breach. This is quite disappointing. And they're just dying all the way due to supply lack. These guys have become actives, or reserves. We're just gonna keep them here for now. I just want to take this region and call it a night for that, to be honest. And then go to high command and suffer my punishment. So there we have again Falkenhayn in the attack. Estimations are somewhat outnumbers, overpowers the enemy. We go for a balanced approach. And a victory, although it costs us dearly, like a proper World War I victory. Right, so we reclaimed the region. I suppose that's something. And we can reorganize our army. And I'm gonna leave it at that for this particular day, as you can see. So I played these Central Powers in the Romania scenario, and after in January 1917, again the scenario goes on for a couple of bit longer, I managed to basically end up where I started. So I'm feeling really World War I-ish here. Like what pointed out in the chat before me, Bucharest was taken by now by the Central Powers historically, so I really have got some strategy, some tactics to rethink here. Any tips, by the way, from you are definitely welcome. Any gameplay tips. So this is just one of these scenarios. Let me just quickly go back again to the main menu and show you the full list of scenarios. So we have the conquest of Serbia, we have the Romanian front, we have the Italian front, we have the war in Palestine as well. So these are all new scenarios that will be available with the Twin Wars Breaking the Deadlock expansion that will be available in probably next month in February. So we're working really hard to get it there. Everything you saw again is still officially like work in progress, or at least not fully ready to push out to get it out. But we're working hard to get it there. The agent guys are working very hard to get it there, adding the new content. We hope you appreciate this little preview, and we'd like to thank you all for watching. And of course, any comments, please drop me a line at the email address located at this Twitch page. So thanks again for watching. Thank you to Pocus and Philippe for being there, for answering your questions, and thank you for your questions. And hopefully we're going to see you again next week with a different game and a different streaming session. So that's all for now. Again, we'll be available probably next month, and I wish you a pleasant day or evening. Goodbye.